All there is to see is darkness. Just nothing for forever. Until a pounding in his head. The flashes. He sees flashes of memory for quick moments. People in red costumes. A girl bringing him a blanket. He sees a boy with green eyes get hit in the face by an older man standing in front of him. He sees a girl with a mask, standing over him, shouting at someone. Then black. A sound wakes him up. It's not a startling sound. It's soft and muffled, yet it concerned him. He opened his eyes and saw that he was in a dim, abandoned alley. He closed his eyes again and listened. The sound was quiet but upsetting. Then he heard a sniff. Someone was crying. He immediately opened his eyes and sat up. Who was crying? Was everything all right? He turned around and saw a girl. It was the girl in the mask, the one he had seen in his dreams. He felt something tug inside of him, like he should know this girl. The girl was the one crying, her head buried in her hands. Hello? Are you okay? He asked. The girl froze and stopped crying. She slowly rose her head from her hands and turned to look at him, her blue eyes wide. Her blue eyes. Cat Noir? The girl whispered. That's when the memories hit. Cat Noir. He was a superhero every day, and his partner was Ladybug, the girl in front of him. He remembered all their adventures, and that he was very much in love with her, even though he didn't know who she truly was under the mask. They fought almost every day, because their main enemy, Hawkmoth, wanted to take their Miraculous. A Kwami named Plague gave him the powers of a superhero when sucked into his Miraculous, a ring. His secret identity, who he is under the mask, is Adrian Agreste. He is a model and attends high school with his best friends. His father is Gabriel Agreste. His father. Ugh! Cat yelled and grabbed his head. The memories were coming back all too fast. He is angry at his father for always shutting him out. Last time he saw his father had hit him, so Adrian had transformed into Cat Noir and ran away. Then all the Akuma victims, which had been akumatized by Scarlet Moth, started looking for him. No, not for Cat Noir. For Adrian. Cat, are you all right? Ladybug cried. Huh? Cat said. He looked up and saw that Ladybug's brow was scrunched up in worry. Oh, yeah, I'm okay, I think. My head just hurts and my memory is a bit fuzzy. What? Ladybug cut him off by tackling him into a bear hug. He was shocked but happy. He smiled and embraced her. Oh, Cat, Ladybug sobbed. I was so worried about you. I tried waking you up after you fell off the Eiffel Tower, and when you wouldn't move, I got so scared. Then the Akumas came out of nowhere and Ladybug was speaking so fast, Cat Noir could barely keep up with what she was saying. Whoa, hey, slow down. I'm fine, really, but I don't actually remember anything after talking on the Eiffel Tower. How long was I knocked out? Cat asked. Well, it's just now morning, so you were knocked out most of the night. How much do you remember? I remember talking on the Eiffel Tower. You said something and everything just went black. That's the last thing I remember. Are you feeling all right? Yeah, just small headache. Did anything happen before we met up? Well, yeah, just stuff at home. Cat looked away from Ladybug. Oh, Cat, I'm so sorry. Ladybug hugged him again. It's okay, it's not like you knew, Cat mumbled. Ladybug stayed silent, because she knew exactly what happened. She couldn't tell him that, or he would figure out her secret identity as Marinette. Cat looked at Ladybug's sullen face and decided to change the subject. He didn't need to make Ladybug even more worried about him. So what about you? What happened after I blacked out? Cat urged. Well, Ladybug started to say, but she checked the time on her yo-yo and realized she needed to get back home. She hated leaving Cat Noir so suddenly, but if her parents didn't find her asleep in bed, they were going to freak out. Cat, I'm really sorry, but I need to get going. How about we meet up tonight? On the roof that has a perfect view of the Eiffel Tower? Cat Noir's eyes drooped. He didn't want Ladybug to leave, but he needed to let her go. Sounds good. I can't wait. Farewell, milady, Cat answered. He smiled and watched her leap out of the alley. After Ladybug was out of sight, Cat stood up and leaped. He perched on top of a roof and scanned the luscious city of Paris. He found what he was looking for and jumped in that direction. The night before, his friends were akumatized because they were worried about him. He needed to let them know he was safe, so he was going home. Cat Noir was 1 block away from his house when he stopped and looked around. The coast was clear. "Plag, claws in," Cat Noir commanded. He felt the strength and power drift out of his body. He reached out his hands and caught Plag and gave him a piece of his favorite cheese, Camembert. Plag took the slice of stinky cheese and ate it in 1 bite. Then he looked at his owner in concern. "Adrien, are you really going back?" asked Plag, concerned. Plag knew his owner was not happy with his father. Though he didn't show it often, Plag cared about his owner very much and didn't want him to go back if it meant Adrien was going to be unhappy. "Plag, my friends were akumatized because of me. All of last night was my fault," Adrien grimaced. Plag just nodded silently and hid in Adrien's pocket. He didn't feel like making a cheese comment. Adrien walked up to his huge house, surrounded by a wall and a large entrance gate. He approached the gate and held his finger over the call button on the security system lockbox. Adrien took a deep breath and pushed the button. Instantly, a small camera poked out of its hiding spot. He heard his father's assistant, Natalie, gasp, "Adrien?" The camera moved back into place and the gates clicked open. Adrien walked toward the doors, not exactly happy to be back so soon, but that all changed when the doors burst open. There, standing in the doorway, tears streaming down his face, was the one and only Gabriel Agreste. Adrien was speechless. His father was crying? He'd only seen his father cry once, and that was when they had learned that Adrien's mother was gone. Adrien didn't know what to do. He tried to keep walking, but he couldn't move. Then once again, his father did the unexpected. Adrien's father ran to his son and embraced him in a tight hug. Gabriel started crying even harder as he held his son. Adrien's mouth was gaped open in surprise, but he overcame his shock and hugged his father back. He felt tears coming down his own face. "Father, Adrien tried to speak, but his father interrupted him. "No, Adrien, you do not need to apologize. I should be the one apologizing." Gabriel let go of Adrien and gripped his shoulders. Gabriel lifted his face to look into his son's green eyes. Emily's eyes. He couldn't lose them. In that moment, Gabriel knew he could never lose his son, but he also knew he couldn't keep shutting Adrien off from the world. "Father?" Adrien whispered. "Adrien, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have hurt you. When I found out you were missing, I... New tears streamed down the face of Gabriel Agreste. "I can't lose you too, Adrien. I can't lose you too." Gabriel sobbed. Adrien once again was stunned. He thought his father barely cared for him. Now his father was in tears? "Father, don't worry. You won't lose me," Adrien said, trying to reassure his father. "I can't believe I hurt you. I barely spent time with you. I promise I'll try to be a better father." Adrien couldn't find any words to speak. His father continued, "I kept pushing you away, but I'm going to change. I never want you to feel like you have to run away again. I love you, Adrien." Another wave of shock hit Adrien. Could it really be true? His father loved him? Adrien finally found words to speak. "I love you too, father," Adrien whispered. It felt so nice to know that his father loved him, to be wrapped in his father's arms. They stood there for a long time, holding each other. Standing there with his father's arms wrapped around him, Adrien didn't feel so lost. He was home. After what seemed like hours, his father released his embrace and said, "Let's go inside. Natalie must be wondering what's going on." Mr. Agreste put his arm around Adrien, and they both walked through the doors of the Agreste mansion. As soon as Natalie saw Adrien and Mr. Agreste walk through the doors, she jumped up excitedly. Then she remembered she was in front of her boss, regained her composure, and stood straight. "Adrien, I'm so glad you're safe. We were all so worried about you, especially when we found out you were out there with Akumas running loose," Natalie said. "The Akumas? That was the whole reason Adrien came back." "Natalie, my friends, can you let them know I'm safe and back home?" Adrien asked. "Of course, Natalie began to say, but Mr. Agreste cut in. "Yes, Natalie, make sure that Adrien's friends know that he is safe. But since they were all so worried, why don't we put them at ease and invite them all over for dinner? What do you think, Adrian?" Mr. Gus winked at his son and smiled. Adrian was completely shocked, but happy and excited. Was his father actually loosening up? Adrian didn't know what to say. This felt like a dream. Adrian's father gave his son a small smile and nodded his head, like he knew what Adrian was thinking. "I'll take your silence and your dreamy expression as a yes," his father announced. "Natalie, send out an invitation to all of Adrian's friends, via message, and tell all the chefs to cook up an amazing feast for tonight." "Of course, Mr. Ogress, I'll be right on it," answered Natalie. Natalie left for the kitchen, and Adrian realized that this was actually happening. He was so excited, but he still had a headache. "Father, is it all right if I go to my room and rest?" Adrian asked. His father gave him a small nod, and Adrian started to head to his room, when his father put a hand on his shoulder. "If you need anything, come and get me, okay? I'll be in my office," his father said. Adrian smiled. "Thank you, father," and he ran up the stairs to his room. Adrian entered his room and shut the door behind him. He couldn't believe it. His father was actually letting people come over. He was so excited for tonight. Was his father really going to change? Adrian flopped backward onto his bed. Without meaning to, his mind drifted to Ladybug. He couldn't wait to see her tonight. He always loved being with her. But tonight he was going to find out what happened last night. Adrian remembered Ladybug talking about finding him. Adrian. He remembered feeling absolutely overwhelmed, so he just gave out. That is all he remembered until waking up in the alley this morning. Adrian couldn't believe how much had changed in just one morning. Plague lazily floated out of Adrian's pocket and lay down on his chest. A wave of drowsiness washed over Adrian, forcing him to close his eyes. In just a few minutes, Adrian was fast asleep. Adrian. Adrian. Someone was murmuring his name and slightly shaking him. Adrian blinked his eyes open and peered over his shoulder. Natalie was standing beside his bed, so she must have been the one trying to wake him up. "Adrian, I'm sorry for waking you up, but everyone should be arriving for dinner in an hour, and I figured you would want to get ready." Adrian rubbed his eyes sleepily. "Dinner? Oh, right, dinner!" He threw the covers off the bed and ran towards the bathroom. He reached his bathroom door and turned around. "Thank you, Natalie," Adrian exclaimed. Natalie just nodded her head and left the room. Adrian started to get ready. He took a shower, then blow-dried and brushed his hair. He came out of the bathroom and saw Plague in his camembert stash, which was in Adrian's cabinet. Adrian rolled his eyes and smiled. Plague probably loved that cheese more than breathing. Adrian sat down on his bed and looked at what he was wearing. A t-shirt and sweatpants. He should probably change into something nicer for dinner. He got up and walked to his closet and rummaged around in his vast wardrobe for something to wear. "Hey, Plague, what do you think I should wear?" Adrian pondered. His Kwame poked his head over a huge wheel of cheese. "Ahem. You're asking a magical creature who doesn't wear any clothes what to wear?" Plague questioned. Yes," Adrian answered quizzically, already regretting his choice. "Well, if it was me, I'd cancel the whole thing and eat camembert and relax all by myself," Plague commented, instantly stuffing a hunk of cheese into his mouth. "You're weird," was all Adrian had to say. He rolled his eyes as Plague shrugged and popped another piece of cheese in his mouth. Adrian sighed and turned back to his clothes. He had no idea why he was thinking so hard about what to wear. It was just his friends, after all. He decided to go casual. He put on a white V-neck and dark-colored jeans. Adrian stood in front of his full-length mirror and gazed at his reflection. A week ago he was distraught and angry. Just the other night he was upset and scared. But now he didn't feel so lost. He was home, and he was about to go to a dinner party with all of his friends. He also finally knew what it was like for a father to love a son. Adrian smiled, and his reflection smiled back. A real smile, not a fake one for a camera. A true smile filled with joy. Last night was probably the worst night of his life. Now he was smiling at himself. Adrian laughed out loud. It felt good to laugh, the jubilant sound bouncing off the walls and wrapping him in a warm hug. Adrian, are you okay?" Plague asked, staring oddly at his owner. "Yeah, Plague, I'm fine," Adrian answered. Adrian gave himself one more glance in the mirror and started for the door. "Stay out of trouble," he called to Plague. Adrian walked out of his room and closed the door behind him. Adrian walked down the grand staircase and was greeted at the bottom by Natalie. "Hello, Adrian. You've cleaned up very nicely. All the chefs are working diligently in the kitchen for this evening. The guests should be arriving soon. We will be serving dinner at 7:30, Natalie informed, while checking and writing on a clipboard. "Thank you, Natalie," Adrian replied. She gave him a small smile and nodded. Then she headed to the kitchen to see how the dinner was coming along. Natalie was always working so hard, and Adrian wondered if she ever got time to herself. He was shook out of his thoughts when he heard the doorbell ring. Adrian wasn't used to hearing the doorbell, but he remembered Natalie was leaving the gates open from 6:30 to 7 for the guests to arrive. He rushed over and grabbed the handle. Adrian couldn't believe his friends were here for dinner. He opened the door excitedly to see who it was, when he was suddenly shoved to the floor. "Oof! What the?" Adrian grunted. "Adrian, my dude, don't ever scare me like that again. I thought I lost my best bud," Nino cried. Adrian's best friend, Nino, was hugging him so tightly Adrian forgot to breathe. "Good to see you too, Nino," Adrian wheezed, trying not to laugh. "Nino, get off of him. You're probably crushing his lungs," a girl's voice scolded. "Oh, right. Sorry, bro," Nino said, sheepishly, and let go of Adrian. He helped Adrian stand back up and gave him an embarrassed smile. Adrian brushed himself off and looked up to see the girl who had spoken. It was Nino's girlfriend, Alia. "We're so glad you're safe, Adrian. We were all so worried about you," Alia said. "Thank you. I didn't mean to scare everyone. I just needed some space," Adrian explained. "It's okay, Adrian. We understand. We are just happy that you're safe," Alia replied, giving him a small smile. Adrian was about to show them where they could sit and hang out when Nino poked Alia in the side. She looked annoyed and was about to say something when Nino pointed to the door. Alia's annoyed look vanished and was replaced by a knowing look. "I'll be right back," Alia whispered to Nino and walked out the door. "Is everything all right?" Adrian asked Nino, puzzled. "Hmm? Yeah. Everything is cool, dude. She's just, Nino started playing with the tie around his neck, not sure what to say. "Wait a minute. Nino, are you wearing a tie?" Adrian said, trying not to laugh. Nino's face turned bright red. "Aw, come on, dude, not funny," Nino exclaimed, slightly punching Adrian in the shoulder. "Alia told me to dress nice for dinner, but when I tried denying her, she made me wear a tie." Nino, indeed, was wearing a black tie against a blue button-down shirt. The tie and collar of Nino's shirt were neat and crisp, so Adrian guessed that Alia helped. Nino had his hands in the pockets of black jeans. Nino cleaned up nice, but he still wore his red cap, his headphones around his neck, and his red and white high tops. Somehow, Nino pulled it all off. "Sorry, I shouldn't have laughed. You cleaned up really well, and you look nice. It's just, I never thought I would see you ever wear a tie," Adrian said. Nino laughed and his face didn't look so red anymore. "Yeah, me either, dude. I'm just glad I got Alia back for making me wear this tie," Nino smirked. "You did? Dude, you didn't see what she was wearing?" Someone jumped on top of me. I couldn't see anything," Adrian exclaimed, and they both started laughing. They were still cracking up when the door opened and Alia stepped through. The boys instantly stopped laughing and tried to calm down. Now that Adrian was paying attention, he saw that Alia was wearing a dress. He never thought she would be caught dead in a dress. Alia was wearing a dark orange skinny striped dress with dark brown buttons going down the middle over a white t-shirt. She wore dark brown braided sandals to complete the look. "Whoa, Nino, you're one lucky guy," Adrian whispered. Nino blushed and smiled. He couldn't take his eyes off of Alia. Adrian smiled at Nino. He was happy that Nino and Alia were together. They were such a cute couple and cared for each other so much. "Adrian, someone else has arrived," Alia announced. "Hmm?" Adrian murmured. He looked toward the door, and there stood Marinette. Marinette was wearing a simple, light pink, flowy t-shirt dress with light gray wedges. Her hair was in a single bun, with her bangs falling down the sides of her face. She looked absolutely stunning. Adrian couldn't believe it. He had forgotten all about Marinette. Last night she was the one person who had helped him. She took him in and made him feel loved, even though he was Cat Noir and she barely knew him. And he completely forgot. He was such an idiot. How could he have forgotten? Adrian remembered how worried Marinette was when she found out he was missing. He didn't know Marinette cared about him so much. Adrien swore to himself he would make it up to her, as Cat Noir, of course. Marinette only knew she helped Cat Noir, not Adrien. He couldn't give away his secret identity, but he still wanted to show her some appreciation. Marinette, wow, you look amazing, Adrien complimented. I'm so glad you can make it. Before Adrien could even comprehend what he was doing, his arms wrapped around Marinette in a hug. Marinette made a small sound, like a squeak from a mouse, and her face flushed a bright red. Alia quizzically looked at Nino, who just shrugged. Marinette was pretty sure she was dreaming, or she had died and gone to heaven. After a couple of seconds, Adrien realized what he was doing and that everyone was staring. He let go of her quickly, surprised at himself for feeling a bit sad to let go. Adrien took a step back from Marinette and grinned sheepishly. Marinette was frozen still, and her face was a bright scarlet. She looked like she was going to explode. Marinette, are you okay? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Adrien was cut off by Marinette. No, it's okay. I'm okay. It, just surprised me, that's all. Thank you for inviting me. You look hot. I mean, it's hot in here. Not that you aren't hot. You look nice and are pretty attractive. I mean, Marinette stuttered. With every word she spoke, her face grew by shades of red until it was purple. Marinette looked like she was going to pass out when Alia stepped in front of her. Sorry about that, Adrien. She is just, she needs to use the restroom. Can you tell us where it is? Alia asked, giving him a sweet but worried smile. Sure. It's upstairs and 2 doors down on the right, Adrien instructed, a little puzzled about the whole situation. Alia thanked him and started to trudge up the stairs, dragging Marinette with her. Adrien hoped Marinette was okay. He shouldn't have hugged her so abruptly. She might have been uncomfortable. He shook his head. He'll talk to Marinette later to make sure she is okay. Come on, Nino. We'll sit over here in the foyer until the other guests arrive. Nino and Adrien walked over to a couch in the foyer and sat down. Every once in a while, Adrien would have to get up and greet his guests, who were mostly just his classmates. Meanwhile, in the bathroom, Alia was giving Marinette a pep talk. Again. Come on, girl, pull yourself together, Alia exclaimed. Oh, Alia, I can never speak straight around him. What is wrong with me? Marinette moaned, hitting herself in the forehead. Hey, on the bright side, he did hug you, Alia teased, poking Marinette in the side. Marinette groaned again. Oh, don't remind me. That just made me jumble my words even more. I could barely move or breathe. Marinette buried her face in her hands. Alia put an arm around her best friend. Come on, Marinette, chill out. Besides, you know you liked it when Adrien hugged you. Marinette peeked out from behind her fingers and smiled. It was nice, she sighed dreamily. Alia and Marinette started giggling. Come on, girl, let's go back downstairs. Alia grabbed Marinette's hand and gave it a squeeze. Together, they headed back to the party. All the guests had arrived, and everyone was mingling and chatting with each other. Marinette talked to a few people before going to sit down by herself in the sitting area. Her feet were killing her. She had never worn heels before, but since they came with the dress, Alia made her wear them. Marinette was getting used to them, but she still felt awkward and clumsy stumbling around in them. Not to mention her ankle was still sore from her fall last night. But her feet weren't the only reason she walked away from the crowd. Marinette was so distracted that she couldn't focus on anything. She had so much on her mind, but she was trying to focus on Adrien. After all, this was his party, and he wanted all his friends to know he was okay. Adrien had been so distant at school this past week, and then he ran away. Now he was so happy and alive. Marinette wondered what happened. What made him run away? Why did he come back so quickly? Where had he been all night? Why did he hug her? Adrien didn't hug anyone else, just her. Sadly, these questions would remain unanswered. Marinette wasn't going to ask these questions, because she didn't want to come across as nosy, and it was none of her business. Besides, now that Adrien was okay, her biggest worry was Cat Noir. Marinette would never truly admit it, but when Cat Noir first landed on her balcony, she was terrified. He had looked bigger than usual, and his eyes were almost glowing pure green. Cat Noir's aura radiated destruction. Marinette had stayed calm, but it wasn't easy. Thankfully, the more she joked and talked to him, the more relaxed he seemed, more like himself. Cat Noir was almost back to normal when the gorilla showed up. The next time Marinette saw Cat Noir, she was Ladybug. Whenever she is Ladybug, her mind is set on capturing the Akuma and protecting the civilians of Paris. Still, she should have tried to help Cat Noir. If she did, maybe last night wouldn't have been so chaotic. Marinette's mind flashed to the night before. She couldn't stop the images from entering her mind. Her eyes started to tear up. Marinette was so worried about her partner. She had left him right after he woke up, even though she wanted to stay to make sure her kitten was okay. She was so anxious for tonight. She couldn't wait to know that he was okay. Marinette was lost in her thoughts when a voice startled her. "Marinette, are you okay?" Marinette looked up and saw Adrien staring at her. Marinette wiped at her eyes furiously, hoping he didn't see her crying. She silently yelled at herself. She was here for Adrien. She didn't want him to worry about her. He had been through enough. Marinette tried to stand up to face Adrien, but her wedge smacked her sore ankle and made her trip. She lost her balance and started to fall. Just as she was about to hit the ground, Adrien grabbed her hand and pulled her back up. Their faces were so close, their lips almost touching. Marinette immediately got embarrassed and backed up. Sorry, Adrien. I'm not used to these wedges yet, but to answer your question, I'm fine," Marinette stuttered. Adrien's brow creased in worry, and he looked straight into her eyes. "Marinette, you know you can talk to me if you need to," he said. Adrien knew what it was like to pretend and hide. It was horrible, and he didn't want his friend to do it to herself. "No, it's nothing," Marinette started to say, but she couldn't lie to him. Not Adrien. "I'm just worried about a friend, that's all." "Are you worried about me?" "So many people have been telling me that, and honestly I'm fine, and I didn't mean to scare everyone," Adrien apologized, scared that he hurt Marinette. No, no, I'm not worried about you. I was, but I see you're okay now. What I mean to say is you're not my friend. The friend! Sorry, you're not the friend I'm worried about. I'm worried about someone else, not you. Ugh." Marinette buried her face in her hands. Why could she never talk straight around him? She was about to die of embarrassment when Marinette felt a hand on her shoulder. "It's okay, Marinette. I understand, and I'm sure whoever you're worried about is fine," Adrien told her, using a gentle tone of voice and giving her a small smile. Marinette gave him a small smile back. Adrien was being so kind, but no matter what he said, she was still going to be worried about Cat Noir. Adrien looked like he was going to say something. He opened his mouth, but then closed it, like he was thinking. Finally, he spoke. "Marinette, would you like to sit next to me during dinner?" Adrien asked. "What?" Marinette squeaked. Not sure if she heard him right. Sit next to Adrien Agreste? That would be a dream come true. But she was always so clumsy around him, and she didn't want to mess anything up. "I don't think—" Adrien interrupted her. "You don't have to if you really don't want to. I just thought if you need to get away from everyone, you could just tell me. If you need to step out the room, or if you just need to go home, I'll be right beside you," Adrien explained. Marinette blinked. She could feel her face heating up. Adrien was being so kind and generous to her. How could she say no to that? "Okay, thank you, Adrien. I just hate to ruin such a happy night for you. You've been so alive, and the past week you seemed so sullen. Not that I watch you at your desk or anything. I just seemed to notice that you were kind of distant and sad. You seemed so bright and happy tonight. I don't want your night to be lame because of me," said Marinette. "What? Are you kidding? You're not lame. You aren't ruining anything either. I would have wanted you to sit next to me no matter what," Adrien proclaimed, then making his voice a bit quieter. "Also, now I have an excuse for Chloe not to sit next to me." Adrien smiled at Marinette and winked. Marinette started to laugh, and Adrien joined in with her when Natalie entered the room. "Everyone, dinner is ready. Please follow me to the dining room," Natalie commanded. All the guests started filing out of the foyer and into the dining hall. Adrien looked at Marinette and smiled. "Come on, let's go join everyone else for dinner," he said. Marinette blushed as they both walked, side by side, to the dining room. She was going to be sitting next to him. The evening passed by quickly. Marinette wished it could have lasted longer. Sitting beside Adrien actually didn't turn out to be disastrous. She had some decent conversations with him without stuttering. The food had been amazing, and for once she didn't end up making a mess. Marinette had an amazing night, but hoped that the next dinner wasn't because Adrien had run away. She was happy Adrien was back to his normal self, and hoped he never felt the need to run away ever again. Marinette was the last guest to leave, and when she turned around to say goodbye to Adrien, she gave a small yelp. Adrien was standing so close behind her, their faces almost touching. How would she not heard him sneak up on her? Marinette's face grew hot standing this close to him, and before she knew what was happening, Adrien moved. Quick and smooth, Adrien gave her a small kiss on the cheek. When he moved away from her, Marinette could see she wasn't the only one blushing. "I had a great evening, Marinette. Thanks for coming," Adrian quietly said, giving her a shy smile. "Thank you for inviting me. I had a really nice time," Marinette said, and gave him a small smile back. Marinette would have stayed there all night, but she had to see Cat Noir. She said a quick goodbye to Adrian and scurried down the stairs. Adrian stood there and watched Marinette leave. His face was still burning. Why had he kissed her on the cheek? He was in love with Ladybug, right? It just felt right to give Marinette his thanks, and the kiss just felt right. Adrian shook his head. Was he falling in love with Marinette? He didn't know, and right now he didn't want to think about that. Adrian headed back inside and told Natalie and his father that he was going to turn in for the night. Adrian rushed up to his room and closed the door. It was time. He was finally going to find out what had happened last night while he was passed out. Adrian walked into his room and saw Plagg sitting in front of the TV, watching the news. "So, Adrian, what was that all about downstairs, Plagg asked. At first Adrian was confused. What was Plagg talking about? Then Adrian groaned with realization. "Flag," Adrian complained. "Please tell me you weren't spying on me." "What? I can't help it. You humans are so interesting." "No, that's not it. Confusing. I thought you were in love with Ladybug, but I saw how you were looking at Marinette," Flag cackled. Adrian just face-palmed. He had no idea what to do with his Kwame. Adrian decided to change the subject and gestured to the TV. "Any Akuma sightings or alerts?" he asked Flag. Flag rolled his eyes. He knew what his owner was doing, but he let it slide. He would tease Adrian later. "No, we're all clear. No Akumas have been spotted at all. This is great. We can take a break, get some sleep. Oh, maybe eat some cheese," Flag coaxed. "Not a chance. Flag, claws out," Adrian commanded, and Flag was immediately sucked into Adrian's Miraculous, the ring of the black cat. There was a flash of green light, and Adrian was fully transformed into Cat Noir. Cat Noir leaped out of his window and raced over the rooftops of Paris. He was aching to know what had happened the night before. Ladybug had seemed so stressed to leave his side, which would have been nice under different circumstances, but she had been crying, and if what happened made Ladybug cry, he just had to know. Cat Noir kept running until he made his final jump and arrived at his destination. They didn't exactly have a name for this place. To be honest, it was just an abandoned apartment rooftop. He and Ladybug only happened to know about it because one night they were trying to catch an Akuma and had to stake out near the Akuma's next target. They set up their equipment on this rooftop and stayed there all night until they caught the Akuma. Ever since, they decided to always meet up here. It was perfect, right in the middle of the city, so surveillance was easy. It was also quiet and private, and had a fantastic view of the Eiffel Tower. They still needed to call it something, because saying the rooftop with the perfect view of the Eiffel Tower is a mouthful. Cat Noir was thinking of names they could call it, when he heard a soft thud behind him. He turned around, and there she was. The girl who never left his mind, Ladybug. She looked frantic and scared. Her eyes were wild, and her pigtails were uneven. She was panting heavily, and Cat Noir knew she had rushed to get here too. "Lady," Cat Noir started to say, but Ladybug held up her hand, telling him to stop. "Please, Cat, before you say anything, please tell me you're okay," Ladybug pleaded. "Actually, I'm better than okay. I went home and sorted stuff out. Besides, I feel even better now that you're here," Cat replied. "I know I was a mess last night and not focused on my duties as a superhero. I won't let it happen again." "Oh, Cat Noir!" Ladybug hugged him fiercely. "Honestly, I don't care anymore. I'm just happy you are okay. I was so worried about you." She started to cry. "Hey, Ladybug, it's okay. I'm okay. Hey, shh, it's okay," Cat Noir whispered in Ladybug's ear, trying to comfort her. He held her close. After a while, Ladybug stopped crying and got a hold of herself. She let go of Cat Noir and they gently pulled apart. "Now, what exactly happened after I fell off the Eiffel Tower?" Cat asked. Ladybug took in a deep breath. "So, when you fell off the Eiffel Tower, it was so sudden, I didn't know what to do. I should have grabbed you or caught you with my yo-yo, but I was so surprised that when I got over my shock, you already hit the ground. I rushed down to your side and tried everything to wake you up, but you stayed silent and still. All of a sudden, all the Akumas showed up out of nowhere and started coming towards us. I started to panic because I knew I couldn't fight all the Akumas by myself. You were still unconscious and I had no idea what to do, only that I had to protect you." Ladybug explained, while giving him a small sympathetic glance at Cat Noir. Cat stayed silent while she continued. They started to attack, and I stood over you, yelling at them to stay back and using my yo-yo as a shield. All of the Akumas were about to overwhelm me when I finally just screamed. You screamed? Cat interrupted, giving her a confused look. It doesn't sound as bad when I just say scream. The sound that came out of my mouth was so loud and painful. It was more of a frustrated battle cry. The Akumas backed off, and I started taking them down one by one, Ladybug responded. One by one? All by yourself? Cat asked, astonished. All I could see was red. I knew where all the villains' Akumas were, and I took them down. All of them. Cat was silent. I don't even know how it happened, and in the moment I didn't care. I picked you up and carried you to the nearest alley to hide, and I didn't leave your side until you woke up. Ladybug started to tear up. Wow, you took all those Akumas. I wish I could have helped, Cat Noir murmured. It's okay, Cat, honestly. I don't know how I did it, but I can tell you one thing. Ladybug scooched closer to him. I have never been so scared in my life. I thought I was going to lose you. You're the best crime-fighting partner and friend I could ever ask for. No one can replace you. Cat Noir blushed. He knew she meant this in a non-romantic way, but the words still touched his heart. Oh, don't worry, milady. You won't be getting rid of this cat anytime soon, Cat Noir purred. Silly kitty, Ladybug laughed, but for real, I'm glad you're okay. She hugged him again, and Cat Noir hugged her back. They talked and joked for a little bit longer, until Ladybug told Cat that she needed to get going. They said their goodbyes and parted ways. Cat Noir headed back home. As he was running across the rooftops, he thought about the other night, when he was running away from home, thinking that all hope was gone, that he was lost. But today he made up with his father. He had a dinner party with people who cared about him, and his lady said that no one could replace him. Last night he thought nobody loved or cared for him. Tonight he realized how wrong he had been. His father does love him. His friends do care about him. Just like him, everyone does feel lost in times of hardship and chaos. But eventually you will find your way out of the woods and return home. Adrian was far from lost. He was returning home. He was found.